Okay, we good? We online? Good morning. Thanks for joining us for our weekly live stream event. I'm going to apologize for last week. We had some technical errors. I know that Lise was able to cobble together the pieces, the different pieces that we did, and edit them all into one video. So I know that there is available somewhere, probably on the YouTube channel or somewhere here, maybe on Facebook. We're back live on Facebook still again. Um, Um, right. So last week we did did a couple of trays. We're trying to create kind of a video catalog of all of our items, starting with the pendants. I'm gonna try to not let this go too long again this week. I know I say that every week, but we're really gonna do that. SilviaFindings, we've been around since 2004, I think is the thing, something. I've only been here, I guess going on 3 years. It'll be 3 years soon. Um, we're your premier supplier for silver, sterling silver findings, beads, pendants, bales, wire, sheet metal, you name it. We also have some gold, 18 karat gold findings. That are available on the website. You can check that up on the website, and there are quite a few of them are up now. I think there are still a few pieces missing from that, from the gold selection, but slowly but surely we'll get it together. There's always more things coming in, is my point. And we used to do so many shows over the year, 20 something shows a year. So pretty much every other weekend we were out somewhere meeting you folks, meeting people, saying hi, helping you with your selections and stuff. And we miss it obviously. So in the new normal, as we call it, we're getting together this way. No need for a mask, no need for social distancing. How close can you get to each other this way? Get really close to your screen. Let's see if we can infect each other. I'm not going to go too far into it because this is obviously kind of a timely topic, but ultimately the whole purpose of the video is not going to be timely. It's going to be timeless. It's going to be something that you can look at in a year and go back and say, oh right, this is what they were saying about that particular pendant or something. But I do want to mention, I know as we're recording here, it's November the 3rd or 4th. It's the day after the U.S. elections, or the day after the voting happened. Still haven't been decided. But I just want to mention shipping seems to be tightening up a little bit. Things are getting a little bit better. We shipped something to Ontario this week, no, last week, and I specifically made a note because it was to Brampton, which is not a major center. It's a pretty big center. Don't get me wrong. Don't hurt me, people from Brampton. And it was only 7 days shipping. So that was, I know it seems like you're living in a third world country, Mark. No. That's pretty good for us, but it's been a lot worse. It was like 2 weeks a little while ago. Shipping into the States is also, getting getting okay again. Slowly but surely, we've shipped stuff all over the States, and I think the longest we've had was 6 days to Virginia. I know that's East Coast. It's not really south, but it's pretty south. It's pretty far away. It's the other side of the continent from us. So that was pretty good, I thought. Things are looking up. Shipping overseas is still iffy. They're still saying within 75 days for shipping, and that's not a joke. That's actually what they suggest saying. So again, I always recommend that if you're ordering from Australia or Japan. Malta, we get a lot of orders from Malta, which is great. I have to go there one day. England, of course, or Great Britain, lots of orders from there. I really recommend just ordering enough stuff, and I know that seems sound totally self-serving, but bump up your orders to make it worthwhile to ship via DHL using the expedited thing, because expedited, you're looking at 2 or 3 days, at the most. I think we shipped something to Australia and it was only 3 days shipping, which to me is amazing, considering even 75 days is is close. It's more expensive. Yes, it's definitely more expensive, but you get what you pay for. Usually. So I just wanted to keep that in mind. Generally, it's a good idea if you allow time for shipping. I know the shipping is going to get a little bit slower now as we're heading into the Christmas season. There'll be more and more packages up there, although I can't imagine there being much more than there is during a global pandemic anyway, when everybody's ordering spoons off Amazon or whatever. So, I mean, there's just a lot of shipping happening in the world, and unfortunately, everything is getting slower. So just be patient. You'll get your stuff. Once again, if you share this live stream with someone, let us know, or I guess we'll know. We'll see it. We'll send you one of these lovely polishing cloths. I'm going to be. I'm going to start with a tray of kind of standard ovals and rounds and pear pendants. But I just want to say before I get going, I'm going to be quoting prices. There's a retail price and a wholesale price. The retail price is just the retail price if you buy one or whatever. To get the wholesale price, you need to spend a minimum $150 Canadian dollars. So US dollars, I don't know what that is. It's not much. And if you're going to do that over the website, you just have to register for wholesale prices, because you won't see them if you just log into the website as a regular customer. You'll just see retail prices. Once you register as a wholesale customer, when you log in with your wholesale credentials, you'll be ported to a mirror site that has all the prices in the wholesale prices listed. And the wholesale prices, vary pretty greatly depending on what's involved in making the pieces. There's a lot of after casting labor. Some pieces need to be assembled, and the labor cost is actually more than the casting cost. The cost of the material. So some things have wider variances than others, but generally you're looking at something like anywhere between as low as 25% to 45, maybe 50%, discount for wholesale. So it just depends on the thing. And you'll see, as I'm going through with the prices, you'll get an idea of the difference between the two. Okay, we're going on. We're going to carry on. Enough preamble. This first one, I've already got a stone in there. This is just a regular old, let me just get a bigger version of this out. It's a regular kind of basket thing. It's not a super deep basket, but it's not a thing. It's got a nice decorative bail there. I don't know if you can see that, right? And this one, I've got a little faceted moonstone in there. I don't know if you can see that. Why is that not focusing? Come on, come on. It's not going to do it. Okay, well, there you go. Let's focus. MTP 1006 for a 7x9 mm oval stone. Retail price is $11.44, and the wholesale price is $7.15. This is a faceted stone that I've got in there. The prongs are, this is not going to focus. The prongs are plenty high to do that. I did want to show you that depending on the height of your stone, you can also get cabochons to work in that, right? Here's a pretty thin cab, right? Those prongs definitely come up inside the perimeter once you push those closed. So if it's a thin cab, it'll work great. I've said lots of opals and amylites and things like that in those kinds of settings, and they work great and they look great. Because the basket is not huge, so it's not going to make a lot of weight and make it push forward. Yeah. But if it's a really tall cab, you might have difficulty because the prongs aren't super long. They're long enough. Sometimes, a lot of times in cabochons, you'll get, the dome at the top sort of thing is kind of curved, and then the edges are very square, very flat. So the bottom and the edge is like 90 degrees. Depending on how high that edge is, the prongs might not be tall enough to push over onto the perimeter to be able to hold the stone in there. If it has a dome where the dome goes all the way to the very edge of the thing, then it doesn't matter how big the prongs are, you'll be able to hold the perimeter of the stone. I don't know if that makes sense. So anyway, neither here nor there. Well, I guess unless you're trying to set something in here and it doesn't work. MTP 1008 is this setting for an 8x10 stone or a 10x8 stone. Retail price is $12.06. Wholesale price $7.54. And we've got this in a bunch of sizes, and I'm going to go through them all. This is for a 9x11 MTP 1003. Retail price is $12.38, and the wholesale price is $7.74. This for a 10x12 stone, MTP 1007, and the retail price is $13.31, and the wholesale price is $8.32. This one, MTP 1005, for a 14x10 millimeter stone, retail price is $13.52, and the wholesale price is $8.45. Before, when I mentioned that the minimum was $150, I should mention that's $150 at the wholesale price, right? So you need to order like, I don't know, 17 of those. You could bring 11 of these. This 845 wouldn't reach 150 if you only. Does that make sense? Anyway, I don't think it does. Next size up, for a 12x14 or 14x12 stone, MTP 1002, and the retail price is $13.73, and the wholesale price is $8.58. The next one in that size range is MTP 1009, 16x12 millimeter. Retail price is $14.77, and the wholesale price is $9.23. And the next one, 13x18 oval. Does that focus? Come on, focus. No? Okay. MTP 1004. The retail price $16.22, and the wholesale price $10.14. I'm looking at something else here. I think the biggest one we've got in this style is this 15x20 millimeter oval, MTP 1010. Retail price is $17.89, and the wholesale price is $11.18. And again, just want to point this out. The seat on these things, I don't know if you could see that, how it's diagonal. It's kind of like at a 45-degree angle, which would be perfect for a cut stone, to allow the stone to sit in there and the cute to extend out the back if it has to, which is great unless you have a really deep stone with a very pointy pavilion, then it might rub against your chest and make you angry. So the same style, right? It's just a nice plain classic basket with a nice little decorative bail. I wonder if you can see that. Kind of has little curly cues in there in the bail, sort of a filigree style. Got a couple of rounds. This one is for an 8mm round stone, MTP 1011. I've got, I think this is out of order. For a 12mm round, MTP 1013. $13.31 is the retail price, and $8.32 is the wholesale price. MTP 1014. 14mm round stone for $15.39 is the retail price, and $9.62 is the wholesale price. Now, there's a couple of other oval ones that are a little bit different. That's a much deeper basket. So if you have stones with, very deep pavilions, even ones that are pointy, much less worrying about the culet of the stone rubbing on your chest or whatever, making you cranky. uh, But again, you could probably, use a cab for this thing. The problem with putting a cabochon in this is that all of the weight is forward of the bale, and it makes the pendant pull forward on your neck when you're holding it. It'll still work if it's a low dome, like a amylite maybe or something. But cut stones, I think, definitely are better in this thing. If you need a 10 by 12 uh, for a cabochon, we have this other one that has a um, much lower basket. Anyway, MTP 1007B for a 10 by 12 millimeter stone. Retail price is $13.31. Wholesale price is $8.32. And again, I don't want to dissuade anybody from trying to use something for one kind of stone or not for another. Just because the settings are designed for one specific kind of stone doesn't mean that it won't work for another kind of stone. Like this one, the seat here is basically flat, so and very very low basket. So ostensibly, this is designed for cabochon. But having said that, I think it would look great. Cut stone in there would look great. Um, Lovely, bale with a cubic zirconia in there, pretty big bale for a 9 by 11 millimeter stone. MTP 1028 is the SKU. A retail price $12.60. Wholesale price is $7.55. And now we've got some pears, I guess, for the whole rest of the tray. First one is a kind of a nice, elegant for a pear stone. Lovely cubic zirconia encrusted swirl in the bale. Nice wide bale there. And pretty tall prongs, so you can get a cab in there, you can get a cut stone in there. A 12 by 14 millimeter pear shaped stone is what you're looking for to put in there. MTP 1030 is the SKU. Retail price is $27.01 and the wholesale price is $16.21. Now, this is this out of order, but that's okay. There'll be some bigger ones, some smaller ones. So this is, basically the same, version of these very simple oval baskets that we did at the beginning of the tray. Only these are for pairs, and these ones have the single prong at the top, right, with a notch carved out of it. So you're going to want to use pear-shaped stones that have a pretty pointy top. If the top of the pear is kind of rounded, they won't work as well, or they could slip out. I guess it depends on how curved it is. But cut stones, I think, work best in here. Although I have set many cabochons in these kind of settings. And again, the only limiting factor is if the top of the point comes to a point enough that can get caught inside the little notch inside there, you're golden. Otherwise, you're not. It could slip out. So just be mindful of that. This is for a 12 by 10 millimeter pear shaped stone, meaning 12 millimeter tall, 10 millimeter wide. And when we do this for pears, the width is the widest, width. So if you were to measure the widest parts against each other, that would be the dimension for that thing. So in this case, 12 millimeters tall by 10 millimeter wide. $13.31 is the retail price. $8.32 is the wholesale price. And again, I said we'd be jumping around here in sizes. Here's one much smaller one for a 7 by 9 millimeter pair. Curly cues in the bale. MTP1015. Retail price is $10.82, and the wholesale price is $6.76. And the next one, MTP1016, for an 8 by 11 millimeters or 11 by 8 millimeter pear-shaped stone. Retail price is $11.65, and the wholesale price is $7.28. The next one, MTP1017, for an 11 by 9 millimeter pear. $12.06 is the retail price, and $7.54 is the wholesale price. Here's one that's a little bit different. It's got kind of a plain bail for a 9 by 14 millimeter pear stone. Now this one, the top, I don't know if you can see that, has the double prongs, right? So it doesn't matter what the top of that is. It could be really super pointy top, could be a little bit curved, and those double prongs, which I kind of prefer personally. I just find them easier to set with, or to set with, and a little less angsty about setting these around a cut stone with a very, very pointy top, because faceted stones with a very, very pointy top, at the point it ends up getting pretty thin, and if you're pushing a chevron down or one of those other single post downs on top of them, it's easy, if you don't have a little bit of experience, to push too hard and to crack that sort of thing. But so just be mindful of that. You don't have to push too much in those kind of things, but on these you could push this right down over onto the stone, and it'll be great. Again, this is not very deep basket, so it's perfect for cabochons, and will also definitely work for cut stones. Again, 9 by 14 MTP 288 is your SKU. Retail price is $13.57, and the wholesale price is $9.85. Here's another. Getting back to those, same old things with a lovely filigree bail. Low dome again with the single prong at the top thing. And again, I don't want to dissuade you from trying those things. There's stone setting is really not a difficult thing to do. MTP 1019 for a 14 by 12 millimeter pear shaped stone. Retail price is $14.09, and the wholesale price is $8.52. The next one in the tray is MTP 1020 for a 16 by 12 millimeter pear. The retail price is $14.56, and the wholesale price is $9.10. The MTP 1021 for a 13 by 18 millimeter pear stone. Retail price is $15.08, and wholesale price is $9.43. And the last one in this particular tray, MTP 1022 for 20 by 15 millimeter pear. Retail price is $17.47, and the wholesale price is $10.92. Now, pears are kind of have the biggest variation, I think. Like you would think that 16 by 12 and 13 by 18. There's just so many different variations you can get on those kind of things. Some are, really tall, pears. Some are very squat, like that one. So, so many variations that it's hard to carry every one. And how many different pairs we have, or pear-shaped settings we have, there's always going to be that, yeah, but don't you have one for this measurement? The next tray is mostly all triangles or trillions or trilliums or whatever you want to call it. This tiniest one is for a 3 by 3 triangle stone. I like these a lot because these the prongs are in the middle of the rays. They're not at the corners. You can, I've seen them in the corners, and we do have some that catch them at the corners. but I just find that these, less chance of cracking the stone. It just feels more secure to me for some reason when let me just show you a bigger version of that. It just feels more secure when the prongs are in the center of the ray of the stone, of the side of the stone, instead of in the corners. I don't know why, but we've got a bunch of sizes of this. This one just has a loop in the top, so there's no bail on it, just a loop. MTP 822 for a 3mm triangle. Retail price is $4.98, and the wholesale price is $3.33. I wonder if Marble did that on purpose for a 3mm stone. $3.33. Very appropriate price for that thing. So dusty. The next one for a 4mm triangle, again just the loop in the top of that. MTP 821. Retail price is $5.55 and the wholesale price is $3.69. Oh, should have been $4.44. Anyway.
And the customer will question your price.
That's right. I mean, you're just making it up as you go. 5mm. So this one has that I call it rabbit, bail, but it's just a split bail on the top. MTP 820 for a 5mm triangle. Retail price is $7.35. Wholesale price is $4.90. The next one on this is MTP 819 for a 6mm stone. Retail price $8.33. The wholesale price is this one is $5.55. Okay. Here's one for a 7mm. Again, that same rabbit ears bail, which is just a split bail at the top. And again, these are not super deep, but deep enough. MTP 818 for a 7mm triangle. Retail price is $9.07 and the wholesale price is $6.06. I've set cut stones in these. I've set cabochons in these. All work. The only problem is because sometimes that stabilizing bar down at the bottom, which is stamp 925 there, right? That provides structural integrity so that when you're pushing on one side, the whole thing doesn't warp. That just holds everything nice and straight. It's got to be there. There's not really a way to get around having some kind of a stabilizing force there. But if you have a stone with a super deep pavilion, right, sometimes one of the corners can get caught in the center of that thing, and there's not really a whole lot you can do besides filing away some of that. You got to have some of it. You don't need to have maybe quite so much, but you could definitely get away with filing a little bit of it. And the only problem with that is then you'd be filing, you might file off some of the 925 stamp on there. So
also the stone may come out.
Also, yeah, if you completely remove that stabilizing section, that stabilizing bar on the end, then the whole setting becomes a little less structurally integrous, and the stone could pop out. If it gets pushed on one side, then the whole thing will shift easily and the stone will just pop right out. So MTP 817. This one's for an 8mm stone, 8mm triangle, trillium, whatever. $9.45 is the retail price. $6.31 is the wholesale price. We should have a conversation one day about deciding what we're going to call triangular shaped stones between trillions. I've seen them described so many different ways, and there doesn't seem to be an official name for it. MTP 816 for a 9mm triangular stone. Retail price $11.38. Wholesale price is $7.58. And getting bigger. 10mm now. MTP 815. Retail price is $13.75 and the wholesale price is $9.18. Next one, of course, is 11mm for MTP 814. Retail price is $16.06 and the wholesale price is $10.70. The 12 millimeter version of this, MTP 813, 1694 is the retail price, and 1130 is the wholesale price. The 13 millimeter version, it does eventually stop, I promise. MTP 812 is the SKU number, retail price 2027, and the wholesale price is 1351. If you have a 14 millimeter stone, triangle stone, MTP 811, there is a retail price of 1881, and the wholesale price is 1255. For a 15 millimeter stone, the MTP 810 retail price is 2209, and the wholesale price is 1473. And the last one, the biggest one, we don't have a 16 millimeter, but we've got that 17 millimeter one, MTP 809, and that's kind of a giant stone if you have one that big. Retail price $24.95, and the wholesale price is $16.63. And in this one, you can see that stabilizing bar. Again, a real good example of that. You can see how that might potentially, only if you have a stone with a super big, deep pavilion, right? Does it become an issue? And we've sold a lot of these on Etsy, and not that size specifically, but one of the along with the reviews, one of the remarks that I've seen most about that particular line of settings is that they're so chunky. They feel so substantial and so heavy duty. A lot of times when you find these kind of findings online and stuff, they're cast so thinly, and I get it. It's, you want to make an economy thing, you got to make it thin, so it doesn't take up as much silver. It's less heavy, but you're going to lose, the structural integrity, the quality of the piece overall goes down if you're worried about the stone, popping out the first time somebody goes dancing. Anyway. Here's a triangular setting. I've got a couple different sizes of these. Maybe I'll show you the biggest one, just so you can see this particular line. Right, so it's a trillion setting, triangular setting. But these have the corner prongs, the corner double prongs, and this is my favorite way to do this. If you're going to do this, this is the best way, I think. These corner prongs, doesn't matter what kind of cut you have on your stone, those prongs will be able to hold it in there, and you can bend those over onto the stone without worrying about, am I pushing too hard, am I not pushing hard enough. You can get those prongs on there. They're all pre-notched, very easy to push down onto the stone without worrying about cracking it. And I think we have some others that I might show you later that have chevron or single posts that are just a little bit trickier to do, I think. Anyway, this particular setting, we've got this available in 4 millimeter all the way up through 9 millimeter. Now the 4 millimeter one is the only one that doesn't have a bail. It's just got a loop. It doesn't have a bail soldered to it. MTP 826 for a 4x4 millimeter triangle. Or retail price is $607, and the wholesale price is $380. Got this next one, MTP 825 for a 5 millimeter stone. Retail price is $676, and the wholesale price is $423. Again, from 5 millimeter up, these all have bails attached to them. So this one, 6 millimeter version of that, MTP 1145 for a 6 millimeter trillion. Retail, I'm just going to use every name I can for the triangle stones. Retail price $676 is that retail price. Wholesale price is $423. Next size up is 7 millimeters for trillium stone. MTP 824 7x7 triangle. Retail price $679, and wholesale price $4.52. And again, the biggest of that particular version we've got is this MTP 823 for a 9mm trillium triangle stone. Retail price $8.71, and the wholesale price is $5.80. And I've got another one, slightly different version, kind of simple, plain. But this MTP 289 for a 14mm triangle stone. Now this one would work best for and if it's a pointy corners on your triangle stone, is not going to work in this setting because these don't have notches on the inside of the prongs. This is for traditionally or ostensibly this is made designed for cabochon. Or a cut stone that has beveled edges that doesn't have sharp corners. So if the shape of the stone is exactly like that seat, right? You see how the edges are not pointy; they're kind of square, cut off. That's the shape stone that you're looking for. And those prongs, again, good sized prongs. So even if it's a pretty tall cab, you should be able to get that on there. Right? Again, single levels. So cut stone, if the pavilion is not too deep, it would be perfect in there. But again, it's got to be sized right so that the corners are not pointy for that stone. Some people end up with, trillion stone or triangular stones that don't have points in the corners, and then they're like, oh, because most of the trillium settings, won't work for those kind of cuts. Yeah. We fixed your problem. Assuming it's 14mm stone anyway. Here's a pear-shaped stone, another pear shape going back there. This is just a simple, little pear-shaped stone for a 4x6mm pair or 6x4. MTP 797. Retail price $6.31. Wholesale price is $3.94. And this just has a loop in the top. Right. So if you have a pair of stones, you can very easily attach ear wires to those. If you want to do something really cool, you can snip that loop off, solder that setting to something else, a ring, shank, or whatever crazy pendant you're making, and set a stone in there, right? Add an accent. There's always another way. There's another pair setting. For a 6x9 pair, this one has the bail incorporated into the design, right? So there's no bail, no loop and everything. Ostensibly, again, with the flat seat for cabochon, but good sized prongs. You could definitely put a cut stone in there too if you want. And again, a big fan of the double prongs at the top instead of the single chevron. I just think that's way less angsty if you're a beginner. If you've been setting stones for years, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's still kind of, I still get a little bit of angst when I have those chevrons in the corners, or the single prongs with the notches. Here's one for a 13x18mm pear-shaped stone. Lovely scroll work there. Some, I don't know, twisty wire, kind of almost millgrain border around the edge of that thing. This, again, for a cabochon or a cut stone, either would work great in this setting. MTP 609. Retail price is $33.67, and the wholesale price is $19.24. There's I should just point out there's these ribbons here on the side have cubic zirconia set in them. So those are lovely. Wait a minute. This is exactly the same thing, only 12x18mm. Maybe when we reordered them, probably we reordered this thing, and then when the design. Oh no, this one doesn't have prongs. Never mind. It's not the same at all. I mean, the design is the same. It's exactly the same. MTP 614 for a 12 by 18 millimeter. This you would have to use a cabochon, glue that in there. Retail price $24.57, and the wholesale price is $14.04. So it's basically they took the same design and they just modified it with no prongs, and for a slightly smaller um, stone. So that is the end of that next tray. Tray number 8. Now we're moving on to tray number 9, and this is the last tray that we're working. My timer here says 57 minutes, but I know that can't be right. That's not when we. I think we're like at 50 minutes or something. MTP 505 for 11 by 15 millimeter oval, and this is just right, lovely, right? You can use this this bail in the frame right at the top. If you can see that loop there, it's kind of occluded by that the string that we're holding into the thing. But the bail is incorporated into the frame. We've got these lovely curly Q things at the top and the bottom. Very interesting. MTP 505. Retail price is $16.64 and the wholesale price is $10.40. Again, the seat looks like it's designed for a cut stone. The prongs are kind of average size, so low dome cabs would fit great in there. High dome cabs, you might have to shave some of the bottom off. Here's one. Oh, here's one that we've got a stone already in that. For an 18 millimeter round, we put a cabochon in here, right? Check those prongs. Gorgeous. And they come all the way right up onto the thing. And this is a pretty high dome cab too, so nice. MTP 589 is that setting. Retail price is $19.20 and the wholesale price is $12 again for an 18 millimeter cab. Just show you the back. It's just a kind of a simple frame with a nice open back. That stone fits in there beautifully, which is probably why it's the display. Here's one. I always see an owl when I look at this setting for some reason. I don't know why. It's probably the two big eyes at the top. Oh, and now that I've told you that I see an owl, you're never going to not see an owl when you see this setting. But so never mind. Forget I said that. There's a bunch of cubic zirconias around the edge of the seat, and these lovely curly Q. Oh, they're eyeballs. Come on. Let's just call them that. And a soldered loop and a bail. MTP 973 for a 10 by 14. I know that it says 14 by 10. And when I grew up owning a bead store, we always automatically used the smaller number first. So I'm still getting used to 3 years later. I'm still getting used to how we do different things here. By 10 millimeter oval, retail price is $20.23 and the wholesale price is $12.65. And I think it's just because the supplier that we had that we got a lot of stones from in India, they always just measured them that way, the shortest side first, so I guess just got used to it. MTP 544, and you can tell I probably wrote the thing for this because it's in the right order. 8 by 10 millimeter is the oval. Retail price $17.24 and the wholesale price $10.78. This is a lovely kind of leafy motif at the top with the big cubic zirconia in the bottom. It's kind of lovely scrolly effects. Now we're getting into some very cool settings. This for a 10 by 12 setting oval. MTP 967. Retail price is $22.88 and the wholesale price is $14.30. Again, this pretty nice deep basket. So I think this is very cool how the back is kind of flowery. It looks like a flower. Right. So you could definitely put a cut stone in there. The seat would also work for a cabochon. The prongs are good size, so I don't like using high dome cabs in settings that have baskets, but you could definitely get away with it. This the bale has cubic zirconias encrusted inside. Lovely cubic zirconias all around the border of the seat. That would just make a lovely frame for your stone in there. Here's one MTP 978 for a 12 by 16 millimeter oval. Retail price is $20.18 and the wholesale price is $12.61. This is just nice, big, bold, ribbon sort of looking components around the outside. Cubic zirconia, set in those kind of chevrons on the top, on the sides, and in the top, and a nice big one at the very top to set off your stone. Again, this pretty good sized prongs, so you can definitely get away with cabochon in there very easily. Cut stone will also fit beautifully. A lot of the times they're kind of interchangeable. There are some settings that I would only recommend trying to put a cab in there, or only recommend trying to put a cut stone in there, but most of them are, interchangeable. You can use them either way. MTP 955, and I love this filigree, frame work. One of the most fun things that I like to do is just start with a piece of metal and bend it into a shape, it doesn't matter what shape it is, and then just fill it in with all these little kind of crazy things, curly cues and kidney shapes and scrolls and things. It's fun, needlessly complex. This is very elegant, very, almost Victorian. Not really. MTP 955 for an 18 by 13 millimeter pear shaped stone. The retail price is $20.01 and the wholesale price is $13.34. Again, this you can get away with, a very pointy toy, because you see the double prongs at the top of that pear, so you can get away with, any. It doesn't matter what the pointy part of that cab or cut stone looks like. If it's not super pointy, if it is super pointy, you can definitely set it in there. If it's a little bit curved, you can definitely set it in there. Either way, it's all good. This one, which is in a weird place in this tray, because we have a whole bunch of other ones that are like this in another tray, which I'll get to probably in another setting. But this is just a classic oval gallery, setting, right? Got this gallery style bezel, right, all the way around. Has a soldered loop and bail. MTP 847 for an 8 by 10 millimeter cabochon, and or you could probably put a cut stone in there, but I think this looks best with a cabochon. I've got one here, an 8 by 10 cab. Pop right in there. Is it gonna work? Well, anyway, I don't want to mess with it, but you get the idea. With these, you have to set this like a bezel, right? Once the stone is in there, you push all of these tops of these bezel wall over onto the stone, and that holds it in place. So again, if it's a super tall cab, may not work. I have seen somebody actually set a cut stone in there. It was a pretty shallow pavilion. I don't know if that one will work. I do have a cut stone. No, I think it was pretty high pavilion. If it was a pretty shallow pavilion stone, you can put a cut stone in there, and it looks really great once you push these over down onto the crown of the stone. And it's doesn't seem like an obvious choice for that, but it definitely will work. I guess it just depends on the edge geometry of your stone. Here's another oval pendant for a 7 by 9 millimeter oval stone, cut stone or cabochon. These prongs are pretty good size, so even a high dome cab, you could probably get away with doing that. If it's a really, really shallow dome cab or cut stone, if the prongs are too long, very easy to cut these down and trim the ends, so they're beautiful before you push them over. And I'm definitely going to do that in a future video. Which may or may not be part of this series. I might just do it separately to put it on the website. to show people how to dress the ends, because sometimes the prongs are just too long and it looks weird if you have way too much prong sticking over onto the top of the thing. And you know, if you're a beginner or not familiar with, you know, customizing these prongs, um, you might be scared to do it, but whatever, don't be. It's super easy. MTP 541 is the SKU for that. Again, for a 7x9 stone, retail price is $17.04, and the wholesale price is $10.66. Um, Here's another one for a 9x11 millimeter stone. Again, I would probably the basket is super deep in this. Um, but I don't know that I would try to put anything other than a cabochon in there, because you've got to glue it in there. I guess if it's in an opaque stone, and I guess the very top of this bezel wall is not super thick, so if the stone fit perfectly and it's a cut stone, you might be able to get away with pushing this bezel wall over onto it. Um, I might try to buy one and see if I can get that to work. MTP 656 is the code for that. 9x11 millimeter oval stone. Retail price $15.48. Wholesale price $11.61. And I just love how the back of that is just. You don't always see that where the back is as beautiful as the front. Um, Here's one MTP 968 for a 10 by 16 millimeter oval. Retail price $17.11 and the wholesale price $10.70. This again pretty tall prongs, so ideally a cabochon cut stone would also fit in there. This I love this border. It looks like I don't know, nested loops there, right? If you've ever tried to take a jump ring and connect the jump ring into itself, and then a jump ring into the two jump rings, and then the third jump ring or a fourth jump ring into the three jump rings, and you lay them down, they make this kind of a, you know, spiral effect pattern. You know, I kind of like that. Um, Our next one is MTP 954 for a 10 by 14 millimeter cabochon or cut stone. Either will work in this. This is a pretty good sized depth basket. Just very simple, classic, postmodern, industrial sort of look to it, with a soldered loop and bail. I don't want to get too deep into the design features. MTP 691 for a 10 by 14 millimeter stone. Retail price 2106 and the wholesale price is 1170. This again another setting where you could get away with anything. A cabochon or a cut stone would work great in those. I love this. You know, the cubic zirconia. You know, set into these little bars and a bunch of marquise stones in the top here. Um, just to give it a really super classic look. You can't get wrong with that sparkle. Now, obviously, some stones, you know, you might not. It might look weird if you put like a turquoise in there or something, but you know, I don't know, an or an opal or just about anything. MTP 531 for a 9 by 11 millimeter stone. Retail price is $19.97 and the wholesale price is $12.48. Just lovely kind of scroll work around the top. Not a super deep basket, but it's definitely two levels. Prongs big enough for a cabochon or a cut stone, unless it's again it's a super high dome. Um, Even then, depending on how high it is, it's rare you get ones that are too high that even a prong like this won't be able to push over onto. Um, Here's another cutie, MTP 391 for an 8 by 10 millimeter stone. It's got this kind of a lotus flower thing at the top with cubic zirconias all the way around, making a border around your stone once it's set in there. I think once a stone is set in there, it just, right, right, it's just gorgeous. You just get that circle of cubic zirconias around there. I don't know if you focus on that. And the big CZ up at the top. Uh, unless you hate tiger's eye. But I think that's kind of gorgeous. Here's a rhodonite. Oh, God, I think that's too small. It's not the same size, right? But you get the idea.
Looks good.
Yeah, it does look good. It's gorgeous. MTP 972 for a 10 by 14 millimeter cabochon or cut stone. MTP 972. I said that. Retail price 1468. Wholesale price is 918. Now the cool thing about this, there's a couple cool things. I like this bale with the cubic zirconias in there, and the top. So you got these two prongs at the bottom, right? And the top is the whole structure of the thing. All these floral design elements. And I don't think I have a stone that's exactly. Let's see if this will fit. We got one. I think these are going to be way too tall to fit in there. Yeah. Whatever, you get the idea, right? That would go under there, and then those pieces, these elements, right? You push those down onto the stone to hold it in place. Just super interesting piece. I don't know. Let's see. It's just super interesting. So here's one that I wanted to show you. And I just have a stone in there. MTP 385 for 7 by 9 millimeter oval. The oval obviously would be horizontal instead of vertical. Retail price 1889. Wholesale price is 1260. Now the prongs on this one are super long, so this is a pretty low dome cabochon, right? So would by the time you push these big prongs over onto that, unless you like that look, you're going to end up with prongs coming pretty far into the center of that thing. So you definitely want to be looking at putting in a higher dome cab like this. I've got this, right? So those, once you push those over, won't get too far into the perimeter of the stone and make it look like, what are those jagged things pushing into the center of my stone, kind of thing. So again, having said that, it's very easy to trim these prongs if they're a super long thing. And I've got one or two others in this tray that are longer, and I know that we have some that are just crazy long. But that will work. Again, I don't remember if I said the SKU, but I'm going to do it. MTP 385 for a 7 by 9 millimeter oval. 1889 is the retail price. 1260 is the wholesale price. Again, that row of cubic zirconias in the bottom. Kind of love those accents. Here's a bigger one, MTP 673 for a 15 by 20 millimeter cabochon or cut stone. I think a cab would look better in this personally than a cut stone, but you could definitely get away with either. The retail price 3107, and the wholesale price is 1864. And again, not a very deep basket, so probably cabochon is suggested for this. Love that kind of scroll work, floral scroll work there at the top. It's lovely. Here's that other one I was talking about. I think this prongs are pretty tall in this one. See how tall those prongs are. MTP 434 for a 7 by 9 millimeter stone. Retail price is $22.36, and the wholesale price is $14.90. And I'm going to put this in there, even though I know that it's not right. God, I just love that scroll work thing going around with the cubic zirconias in there, in the bale at the top. You just cannot go wrong. Just love that. Here's another bigger one, MTP 987 for a 12 by 16 millimeter oval. Retail price is $23.14. Wholesale price $14.47. Again, nice deep basket with those stabilizing bars at the back. So Doesn't matter how deep your pavilion is, you could definitely fit it in this thing. You can also get away with a cabochon if it's not a super high dome. And the only reason why you wouldn't want to use a super high dome cab in this is that, again, from the weight, right? It end up when you're sitting on your neck, because it's so front heavy, it ends up pulling forward, so you end up with looking at it at an angle like this when it's on your neck. Right? I mean, you guys must have seen that. It's got this lovely decorative bail on the top of that, and all that kind of twisty wire scroll work, and a bunch of cubic zirconias set in there in various places. Just lovely classic setting. I love that one. MTP 216 for a 7 by 9 millimeter stone. Cabochon, cut stone, either way would work. Got these three little, I don't know, leaves with cubic zirconias encrusted inside them. And that lovely pointy shape in the bottom. Just can't go wrong. Very simple, very elegant, gorgeous. We've got this MTP 214 for a 7 by 9 millimeter stone. Retail price is $12.05, and the wholesale price is $8.03. Again, not a super deep basket, so cabochons work great in here. Cut stones work great in there. I love this kind of off-center, scrolls at one side and a little bit different on the other side. Cubic zirconia in there. Soldered loop and bail. Very simple, very elegant. Did I say that? MTP 214 for a 7 by 9 stone. Retail price $12.05, and the wholesale price is $8.03. And the last one in this tray, MTP 992 for a 10 by 15 millimeter pair. Retail price is $13.73, and the wholesale price is $8.58. Simple, elegant seat, right? Not a super deep basket, so again, cabochons or cut stones work great. I love this marquise-shaped bail with the cubic zirconias in there and the little curlicues up at the top. It's got the double prongs, right? And you can see those right there. So pointy tip or a little bit curved tip, either will work great on this thing. It's just lovely, classic. And that brings us to an hour.
Yeah, one more.
Just a little bit over an hour.
Yeah.
So we're getting better in that. This 3-tray, we can get through 3 trays in an hour. We're doing better. I'll try to go quicker as we go. But I like to, impart as much information as I can about every, particular pendant as it comes to me, because some things are really super appropriate for some shape stones. Other ones maybe not so much, but will still work, and other ones just won't work at all. It just depends on your stone. And unfortunately, there's so many different variations in the shape of the stone, the edge geometry of cut stones. I've said before, I find especially aquamarines are probably the worst. Not the worst. I mean, they're lovely stones, but I see this happening with aquamarines more than any other stones, with the possible exception of citrines. But aquamarines are definitely the worst, where the stone itself is not super vivid or dark, so you end up with kind of a clear stone if it's really shallow. They try to make the pavilion super deep, so it looks darker, which can cause a little bit of problems sometimes depending on the setting of your stone, right? We've also had some issues with some cuts, tourmalines, where the edges of a cut stone, normally the angle between the pavilion is like almost 90 degrees, pretty much, and we've seen some where the crown is, whatever, that 45-degree angle, and then from the girdle down into the pavilion, it starts out almost perpendicular to the crown. It's really tricky. Sometimes you have to get in there and file a little bit here and there, but those kind of things you learn, from practice, and you'll know almost immediately if you get a setting and bring it home and try to put your stone in it, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, this is a 7 by 9 millimeter setting, and my stone is 7 by 9, but it doesn't fit perfectly. There's usually always a way we can get it to work. Anyway, neither here nor there. Those are for future episodes of our SilviaFindings live stream, and I've already extended this video way longer than it needed to be, so I'm going to quickly sign off and say stay healthy, stay sane, keep being creative, take care of yourself, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health, wear a mask, and we will talk to you next week. Oh no, next week.
Next week not close.
Next week we I don't know, we might just keep apprised on Facebook and stuff, because next Wednesday here is a statutory holiday, so we'll be closed. But we might move it to Thursday or something. I don't know. We haven't really talked it through. I think we just realized this morning. Although
we will move the week after.
Well, we'll just move it to the week after. Okay, so there's no live stream next week, the 11th. It'll go to the 18th, I guess is the date, would be the date, because I can do the math. Add 7 to 11. See you next week. Not next week. See you in 2 weeks. And take care. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Okay.
We're good.